On paper, I was living the dream. I was working at the top gaming companies. I was traveling the world, hosting and speaking, doing all these things. But I wasn't happy. I was living a life for other people, and I didn't even realize it. If you've ever felt like you're living a life that's not yours, or you're not fitting in, this episode is for you. Hi Gems, it's Jewel Faguni and welcome to Journey to Stardom, where we are simply terrific at rocking our purpose. Today we are talking about self-love, okay? Self-love isn't just loving who you see in the mirror, because that is so important, but it's literally how are we treating ourselves? How are we taking risk to go after what is really us? How do we make sure we're living our authentic selves? How do we make sure we're surrounding ourselves with the right people and just doing the things that give us a spiritual hug all the time, okay? So today, that's what we're gonna dive into. Let's do this! So growing up, I always felt like an outcast, okay? I am a first-gen Nigerian immigrant that grew up in a white neighborhood, Naperville, Illinois to be exact, and I always felt different. And I think because I always felt different, I'm gonna give a huge shout out to Glee and That's So Raven and Hannah Montana and all those shows where I could live out and be like, yo, I'm a star. And it's okay if I'm not fitting in with these kids because they don't know who they are. And it's so crazy because I wish I could talk to younger me and be like, yo, you had it right the first time. But yeah, as a kid, I remember even in middle school, I'd walk the halls and be like, they don't even know who I am, and wait till they find out. My life was like just doing music, recording covers. My dream was just to be a music star, and I balanced that with track, and it was just a fun time. Like, I was thriving in being a misfit. When I think about it, as a kid, my form of showing love to myself was continuing to feed myself the narrative that I was meant for bigger things. I did that to combat, not fitting the standard of beauty that was in my high school, which was basically white girls, not me. I did that to acknowledge, like, yeah, I'm not gonna be the popular kid, but I had some like pretty decent friends. But it was just like, none of that stuff mattered because I knew I was a superstar, and also YouTubing gave me another kind of reality. And then after high school, man, I was given an option: doctor, lawyer, engineer, or disgrace. And that sounds extra, but you have to understand, first gen immigrant, and also I'm the oldest child, so everything is like on me. So I knew I was gonna go down the engineering route because I liked social media, I liked games, and I wanted to know how those were built. And the moment I was like, I'm going to pursue tech, was the moment my era of shadow artist began. So a shadow artist comes from The Artist Way, which I highly recommend. It's a book that people use to really rehabilitate, grow, identify, and own the creative in them. Because everybody is creative, no matter even if you're not. Everyone has an inner artist. And a shadow artist is somebody that surrounds themselves with enough art that they don't have to be artistic themselves. So like, there's an amount of artistic we all need to be fulfilled. And when you're a shadow artist, you do just enough to kind of feel that fulfillment, but you're not really fulfilled. So like, that's typically, you surround yourself with artistic people, whether it's your partner or your friends. Or like me, you work a job where you can do creative things, or you work around creatives, but you're not the one actually being creative. And that progressively got more and more real, because in college it was like, okay, I'm building a video game studio. So I like started my own company, and that was kind of creative, right? But meanwhile, I want to do music. And that was slowly getting in the back burner because I had just this obsession of like building and building impact and creating. And I don't have regrets. I just wish I kept this part up too. And then even balancing that with internships after, when I'm working at these dope gaming studios, I'm working on cool things, and I'm so grateful for that. I kept sacrificing the artist in me as a musician and actor without even knowing that's what I wanted to do. And yes, I got my Hannah Montana moments. Miley Cyrus was working in tech by day. Hannah Montana was like hosting and speaking and traveling the world as a filmmaker, going to Cannes Film Festival. Like, these are cool things, but I was still feeling like I wasn't fulfilled. And that was showing in the way I would show myself self-love, like in life, like outside of my career. So early adulthood is kind of when I learned, okay, Jewel, we need to like love ourselves, because that reflected poorly in my relationships, like my friendships. I had a lot of friends in my early 20s that were not actually friends. A lot of them were jealous. I had friends that were leeches, and when I say leech, as in they saw where I was going, so they just like surrounded them. They just wanted to be close to me, but they actually weren't being a friend. They were just kind of there. And be careful of those people. It also reflected in my romantic relationships. Look, I'm a lover gal, okay? So like, I always loved when I could be with somebody I could vibe with. And dating for me got so tough, yo, because they are not lying when they say who you're with is a reflection of your self-esteem. And baby, yikes. Double tapping on the relationships. Self-love also just reflects the confidence you have in yourself. When I started my company and I was 19, my third year of college, or fourth, whatever, I was in a startup accelerator, and I got some really bad advice. This guy, he was a white man, he said, there's no such thing as a founder that is by themselves. Look at Mark Zuckerberg, he has like 13 co-founders. And I didn't realize how much I internalized it, because right after that, there was 2 instances in my company where I invited someone to be a co-producer or co-founder, and neither version worked, because again, it was folks that I felt like, oh, I should work with them, but either one completely did not match my vibe, as in she was super negative and she didn't even like the vision of what I was doing, and I was so much into Lulu and not confident enough to be like, no, maybe you should be off this, until I finally kicked her off the project. And then the second one, that one was like, as if I didn't learn the first time, that person literally tried to little sis me all the time on my own company. And again, it's like, Jewel, why did you entertain that? And it's because I didn't have the confidence to see that I could do this on my own. And also in both times, to show you how much my self-confidence was lacking, I still had full-on teams I was running. But yeah, I let somebody in that was not a right fit, and I enabled that because I didn't love myself enough to have the confidence to stand on my own feet as a leader. And I can say this to you all proudly because I am not that girl anymore. I learned that, but I hope that as you're learning or hearing me share these things, if you're in any type of situation where you feel like you have to be around someone because you're lacking that confidence, let this be the wake-up call that you don't. You good. You good. You just need you. Clock it. Clock it. Clock it. So there was that, but also just how I took care of myself. I used to take pride in being a workaholic, and it's still something I work on, but it is not something to take pride in pushing yourselves to the limits and not taking care of your body. Are you resting? Are you eating well? Are you getting your exercise? I have a good friend who always would be concerned because like, I would pull all these long hours at work and then work. And I used to be like, you just don't understand because I'm running a business and I'm working, you don't understand. But I kind of think there's a middle ground because yes, it's not easy to have the goals I have, or you're that person that's like, I am balancing my job and building this thing, yeah, you're gonna have to pull long hours. However, how are you balancing that with like actually taking care of it, taking care of you? When you think about it, think about the closest person you love. Would you put them through what you're putting yourself through? And that's something that was a tough pill to swallow. And I think the last part of self-love is I really was denying my authentic self. I think I spent so much time hiding behind the brands I built. And it wasn't even hiding intentionally. I didn't know that like, oh, I do like the spotlight, and it's okay to like the spotlight. And once I really owned that, oh man, I had no choice but to love myself, because I'm asking everybody else to love me. So I might as well make it strike, okay? Okay, so this is not just about me. Let's talk about what self-love should look like. For you, I want you to reflect on your community. Do you have a safe space? It is so much better to be by yourself or have a very tight, closed circle than to have some even iffy. I'm that kind of person now that has been burned so many times that like if I even get a whiff that somebody's acting funny, especially if it's a recent relationship, I'm like, baby, we don't have to be friends. I learned the hard way, you don't gotta be friends with everyone. Sometimes people can just be your acquaintance, okay? What kind of creative risk are you taking? Like I said, based off the artist way and in general, we all are creative. In terms of what extent of creative, that's up to you to figure out. And if you feel like you're not being fulfilled, that might be one area to tap into. So are you taking those necessary risks to express yourself creatively? Okay. The most important one, because there's so many, is define success on your own terms. No one can tell you what success looks like but you. And that's another thing. All the people you look up to that you want to be like, remember your path is still going to be unique. So stay confident in where you want to go. I have personally been, and I still do, hear so many, oh, you should do this, you should do this, you should do this, you should do this, especially from people who aren't doing what I want to do or not where I want to be. So you have to be confident, because the best way to love yourself is have the audacity to believe in yourself. Okay, gems. Well, I hope this episode spoke to you. I just want to know, what parts of yourself do you feel like you're denying because you just feel like you don't have the power to embrace it? And I want to tell you, embracing your full self is not only a gift to you, but it's a gift to your world, to this world. Okay, so please love you, because that's what we need you to do. We need you to love you. Okay. Next week we are going to talk about career pivots. Okay, this was to warm y'all up for the career pivots, because my journey in terms of how I chose careers was directly correlated to my self-love journey. So super excited. With that said, thank you for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe, turn on your notification, tell your friends, because we are all stars. We are all on a journey to grow our purpose. And remember, you have the power to make every day a yay. And dreams don't work unless you do. Okay? Bye, gems. Love y'all. Bye.